Hi, crochet friends. It's Ashley, and today I want to freestyle a really nice pumpkin using the traditional star stitch. I think that will be beautiful. I think it'll turn out so good, and I want you all to join me. So I've already made up a few rows, and this is the traditional star stitch here. It is so pretty. So pretty. So it's one row of single crochets and then one row using the star stitch here and then another row of single crochets, and we just repeat those two rows. It'll be so easy. I think this will be so beautiful. I love the traditional star stitch. So I have my cinnamon stick that I will use as a stem, a nice big one here. I have two off-white beads that I think will also look good. I'm thinking about adding a tassel with these beads on our pumpkin. And I have some jute rope. I think maybe tying a little bow with some jute rope, just trying to add the jute rope in there. I think it will really give it a really nice country farmhouse look. I think that'll look really good. And of course, we'll need our scissors. We'll need our stuffing to stuff our pumpkin. And we will need a yarn needle. And I think I'm going to use just one stitch marker just to mark the first stitch. Oops, just to help out beginners, just in case. I don't know, I think I might need this just to help the beginners out. And then the hook I'm using, so this is, I love this yarn, and I got this from Hobby Lobby. It says it's super soft. It really is. This is a really nice, luxurious yarn here. I really like this yarn. And it's in the color Ivory. So it says that it's best to use a 5.5 millimeter crochet hook for this yarn. But being that we're going to stuff it and this yarn is going to be stretched, I want to use a smaller hook than the recommended hook size. So I'm just going to drop down a hook size here. If I can get that to focus in. There we go. So I don't have a 4.5, but I do have a G6 4.25 millimeter crochet hook. If you do have a 4.5, I would go with that. If you don't, if you have one like me, then just go with what you got. It'll look good no matter what. Even if you use a size 4, it'll still look really good. So if I made this with a 5.5, this would be, it would be a little bit bigger for sure, but we're going to stretch this. Like this is going to need to be stretched to stuff, and I want that to be intact. I want it still to be really strong and durable, um, so we can stuff it. So the multiple for this star stitch is a multiple of 2. So as long as you do 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, no matter how big or small you want to make this, stick with the multiple of 2, because we are going to start with single crochets. Okay, so just use what you got. If you don't have jute rope and say you have raffia, that would look nice too. Just one strand of raffia or a few strands. Or say you have, I have twine here. This would look nice. Any type of rope, twine that you got, will look great on this pumpkin. It will give it, the farmhouse country look. So use what you got. And if you don't have a cinnamon stick, you can make your own stem out of uh, jute rope. I do have another tutorial, the Boho Pumpkin, and I teach how to make a stem very easily, just out of jute rope. You don't even have to crochet it, you just wrap it and it works. You don't have to use glue or anything. So if you want to check that out, you can do that. Or, you know what? You can go to the store and you can look at all the pumpkins and grab a broken pumpkin stem. I like doing that as well. I mean, it's a real pumpkin stem, and it doesn't deteriorate. It stays strong. I've had this for several years, and I use it on one of my crochet pumpkins. Go to the store, look around, in those big pumpkin bins. They got them. Just pick it up. They're just gonna throw it away anyways. I mean, it's broken. It's no use. It's scattered on the ground. Pick it up, take it home. Or you can just go out back and get you a twig, like a fat little twig, and break it down or cut it down. There's so many options you got that you can use to make an easy stem for your pumpkin. So let's get started. I'm so excited about this. So let's do this. Okay, so what we are going to do is we're going to start off with a pretty long yarn tail. So we're going to need long yarn tails for this pumpkin for the beginning and the end. So what we will do is we will pinch, and then we will take it all the way to the middle of our elbow, and then we will just add just a few more, maybe 4 or 5 inches, and then we are going to make a slip knot. And we need a multiple of 2s. Okay, so as long as you do 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, no matter how many you use, you will be able to make the star stitch. And this is the traditional star stitch. So what we are going to do is, this pumpkin's not going to be really, really big. I'd like to go with maybe 26. I think 26 will do us just fine. So let's go ahead. We're going to chain 26. So that's 2. And another 2. And another 2. And I'm going to chain 20 more. Okay, we need to make sure that we have 26 chains. So for a beginner, this here is our first chain, not the loop that's on our hook. Our first chain is this right here. They look like little looped in V's that interlock, kind of like a chain link. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and 26. And then you'll see this little knot here at the end. So our last chain is right there above that little knot. So we have 26 chains. And we are going to do our first row of single crochets. So we need to go into that second chain. And this is our first chain here, which our loop is in. We can't go into that chain, so we have to go into that second chain here. And that is a single crochet. Our next chain is right here. So we're going to go into that loop right there. We're going to go up. We need that yarn to cross over the front of our hook. We're going to turn our hook to its side, and we're going to pull and catch that yarn. And we're going to pull it through that chain and up. And then we're going to take these two fingers and readjust and grab right here. We're going to go up with our hook in front of our yarn, and this is a yarn over. So we're going to go up, and with that top of that hook, we're going to turn it. We're going to catch that yarn. And we're just going to pull it through those loops. And that is a single crochet. And we're going to do that in each one of these chains under that loop right there. So we're going to put our hook behind this yarn here. We're going to turn our hook and pull it, and it's going to catch that yarn, and it's going to pull that through that chain. We're going to take these two fingers, readjust, and you'll see this loop here and this loop here. So you need 1, 2 loops, and now you're going to go like this. You turn that hook, catch that yarn, and pull it through. And now we're just going to do this in all of those chains here. So we have, let's see, we have 1, 2, 3. So we have 3 chains. And we need a total of 25. So we're just going to go all the way down that chain. And we're going to do this all the way until that last chain there. So you see that little knot? Our last single crochet will go in that chain right above that knot. And this here, this is our first single crochet. Actually, for beginners, when we go into that second chain and we make that single crochet, pull this loop up, and in this chain right here that you created, it looks a lot like these. This one right here, go ahead and put your stitch marker in that chain so you don't have a problem knowing which is your first single crochet. And let's go ahead and finish our single crochets. So I finished making my last single crochet, and there's that little knot right there. So now for row 2 is going to be the star stitch. So we are going to need to make 3 chains. So we're going to go up with our hook, and we're just going to pull that through to make a chain. I'm going to do that one more time and one more time. That gives us 3 chains. So now we are just going to twist our work and turn. So now our work goes this way, and that's what we want. So we want our work to go from here out. So now what we are going to do is we are going to go into 5 stitches, and we are going to pull up loops. So we have our first chain here, which our yarn and loop is in. So we need to go into the second chain. So here's our first loop, and here's our second loop. So the second loop from our hook. So we need to go into that chain right here. So we are going to go right here, and we're going to go up, and we're going to catch that yarn, and we are just going to pull that through, and we're going to stretch it up. And that's 1. We need to do this 4 more times. So we're going to go down, we're going to go into that next chain, we're going to go into that chain, go up, turn our hook, grab that yarn, pull it through that chain, and up. And that's 2. So the next chain is right here into the body of our work. Right here. That's our next chain. So we need to just go into that loop right there, that chain. But instead of going into this loop like we did these, we're going to go into the body of that chain. So we need both loops. So we're going under both loops of the body of that chain. We're going to go up, turn our hook, grab that yarn, and pull it through that stitch and up. And that's 3. Our next chain, we're going to do the same thing. Go into the body of that chain, go up, turn our hook, and pull that through and up. And that's 4. So we do this 1 more time. We'll go into the next chain, into the body of that chain, and we'll go up, turn our hook, pull down, grab that yarn, and pull it up. So we did that 5 times. Now we will have 6 loops on our hook. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that's perfect. So now we will grab that yarn, and we're going to stretch this up, stretch our hook and pull. And while we're stretching, we're going to pull through all of those loops. Isn't that neat? Now we will chain 1. So we'll grab that yarn and just make a chain. And that is our star stitch. So we are going to repeat this, but it's going to be a little different. So what we are going to do is we need to go into the stitches and pull up a loop through the stitch 5 times. Just like before, but this is going to be a little different. So we're going to put our finger on our loop. And do you see this hole? That is called the eye of the star stitch. So we are going to go into that eye. So we're going to pinch right here. We're going to put our hook in that hole of the eye. We're going to go up, turn our hook, grab that yarn, and pull it through the eye, and then pull up. And that's one. Next step is we're going to go in right here. This is called the post of the star. So we are going to go right here through those 2 loops, and we are just going to pretend that's a chain. So we're going to go up, turn our hook, pull down, grab that loop, and pull it through that post chain and pull it up. And that's 2. So now our next step, our next chain that we're going to go into is right here. This one right here. So we're going to go in right here and do the same thing. We're going to pull that through and up. And that's 3. And we're going to do this 2 more times. So our next chain is right here. So we're going to go into the body of the chain, go up, pull that yarn, and pull it through and up. And that's 4. We're going to do this one more time in the next chain for our fifth time. So now we have 6 loops on our hook. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Next step, we yarn over, grab that yarn, and stretch it up. And while stretching it up, we're just going to pull it straight through. And then make 1 chain. And we are going to repeat that exact same 6 steps. We'll go into that eye again. So we'll go into that hole, that eye, and go up, grab it, pull it through, and stretch it up. Next step is to go into that post. We're going to pretend that's a chain. It looks like a chain, so we are going to pretend that that is a chain. We're going to go in, just like that. And pull that through and up. We're going to go into this hole right here, this chain, through that body of that chain, and then pull that up. 2 more times. Go into that next chain, grab that yarn, and pull it up. 1 more time. Into that next chain, yarn over, and pull that up. Now we need to count our loops on our hook. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That's perfect. So we yarn over, stretch all these loops up with our hook, nice and tight, and pull it straight through. Chain 1. There we go. We are going to do that over and over and over until we get to our last stitch here, where that stitch marker is. So keep repeating this all the way until this last stitch marker, and I will meet you back when I get to this point. I decided to go ahead and do the very last stitch with you. So as you see, you have your stitch marker and you have the chain that your stitch marker is in, and then you have a chain before that, and then you have your star stitch. So if you remember, we will stick our hook into a stitch, pull it up, and pull a loop through 5 times. So there's the eye of our star. We already have one loop on our hook. So we go into that eye and we go up and pull that loop through and up. So that's 1. And here's that pretend chain of that post. So we'll go in through there. We'll go up, pull that through, and pull that up. That's 2 times. We come down here, pull that up. That's 3 times. The next chain, we'll go into the next chain, pull that up. That's 4 times. And then there's our very last chain with our stitch marker in it. So we'll go up, pull that through and up, and that's 5 times. And then we count our loops: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Yarn over, grabbing that yarn, keep that stretched, and pull it through. And there you go. We will chain 1, but now that loop where our hook, where I said that where our hook, where our stitch marker's in, now we need to make a half double crochet in that stitch with our hook. So we are going to do like this, so that that yarn is wrapped around our hook. We're going to go into that stitch. We can remove our stitch marker. We're going to go up, yarn over, pull that yarn through and up. We have 3 loops. We're going to grab that yarn and pull it through those 3 loops. And that is a half double crochet. So for row 3, we are going to repeat row 1. So what we will do is we will do single crochet, star stitch, next row single crochet, next row star stitch, next row single crochet, next row star stitch. So we are going to repeat row 1, but in a little bit of a different way. So we will chain 1 and we will turn our work. And instead of working in the same chain like we normally would with other patterns, our first stitch is going to go into the eye of that star stitch. So we are going to look here, and this right here, this is our star stitch, and this is the eye of our star stitch. So for this row, we are going to make 2 single crochets in the eye of the star stitch. And this actually, the 2 single crochets will resemble these stitches as well on the top of the star. So we're going to go right here into that eye of the star stitch. We're going to go up and we're going to grab that yarn, yarning over and pulling that through and up. We have our 2 loops, and we're going to grab that yarn, yarning over. We're going to pull it through for a single crochet. And in this single crochet, it's our first stitch of this row. We are going to place our stitch marker here. And this is going to help the beginners. So I'm going to grab my stitch marker, and I'm just going to put that right there into the body of that first stitch. And that will help us for the next row. So in the same chain of that eye, we need to make 1 more single crochet. So we have 2 single crochets in the eye. So the next step is we will skip 1 chain and then go right into the next eye of the next star stitch. So we will skip this one. We'll go into the next eye and make 2 single crochets. And we will repeat this all the way until our last star stitch. So we skip this chain here and go into the eye. Skip this stitch and go into the next. Repeat this until your last star stitch, and I will meet you back there. I completed my 2 single crochets in that last star stitch of that eye, and we have 1 chain left here, right here at the end. And what we are going to do is we are going to make 1 single crochet in that stitch, and that completes row 3. So now for row 4, we will repeat the star stitch again. So our repeat will be the star stitch and then this row of the 2 single crochets in the eye. And we will repeat this over and over and over and over until we reach our desired length. So for the star stitch row, we chained 3, and then we turn our work, and we will do the same exact thing. So we will go into the second chain here. We'll just go right into that loop, or you can go right through the whole stitch. It's up to you. I'm just going to go through that loop, and I'm going to go up, yarn over, grab that yarn and pull it through and up. And that was the first step. The next chain, go in through that loop of that chain, and I'll go up, yarning over, grabbing that yarn and pulling it through and up. And that's 2. Next chain is in the body of our work. I'm going to go up, yarn over, grabbing that yarn and pulling it up. And that's 3. Going into the next chain, just repeating the same thing. And that's 4. And last one. And 5. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 loops on my hook. I'm just going to pull through, and that's 6. Then I chain 1 and repeat. I'm going to go into that eye, grab that yarn, pull it up. I'm going to pretend that this is my chain. I'm going to grab that yarn and pull up a loop. Go into this chain, pull up a loop, into the next chain, pull up a loop, and into the next chain, and pull up a loop. Yarn over and pull that through. And we will chain 1. And we will repeat this all the way until our very last chain here. And the reason why I put this stitch marker here is so the beginners can recognize where their last stitch is. And I will meet you back at this point right here. So I'm at the end of the row here, and I just completed that last star stitch. And if we ended right here, that would look a little funny, wouldn't it? So we need to make another stitch right here in that last stitch where that stitch marker is, just to kind of even it out and make it straight. So we're going to make a half double crochet, which is about the size of our star stitch. So we're going to yarn over, wrapping that yarn around our hook, go into that last stitch. I'm going to go up, yarn over, grabbing that yarn and pulling it through and up. 3 loops on our hook, yarn over, grab that yarn and pull it through that stitch. And that is definitely, it's definitely going to help to keep this straight. So we're going to chain 1 and we're going to repeat that single crochet in the eye of our star stitch, just like before. So we're going to skip that same chain here. We're going to make 2 single crochets in that eye. And now I think you all are ready to go forward and build up a nice panel for your pumpkin. And depending on what type of pumpkin you want, I have 2 examples that I am about to show you. So this, I want my panel to look like this. I want my front of my pumpkin to look like this. And this is about, should be about 7.5 inches long. Yes, it is 7.5 inches long. And this, or I mean tall. So this is going to be the height of our pumpkin. And now I'm going to build up the width of our pumpkin. So I have two little examples here. So I have a tall, skinny pumpkin, and then I have a nice, round, plump pumpkin. So if I want to make a fabric pumpkin like this pumpkin, then I will need to work up my rows until about 10 inches in width. But if I want to make a round, plump pumpkin, then I will need to make up my rows until about 15 inches. So that means I'm going to keep working my rows, going back and forth until I reach 15 inches going that way, or 10 inches if I want to make a tall, skinny pumpkin. So I will meet you all back in a moment. I want to make a round, plump pumpkin. So in a moment, I will meet you back and I will let you know how many rows to complete for 15 inches. So I'll see you all in just a little bit. Hi guys, I just wanted to check in with you all. So I'm working up and I'm almost to 10 inches, but I started realizing that the further I went, my project was leaning and it seemed slightly taller on one side than the other. So at the end of your row on making the stars, instead of, I know the traditional way is a half double crochet in the last stitch of that star stitch row, but I realized that when I make a double crochet, that is keeping my project even in height. So I realized that. So if you end up like me and it seems like one side is just slightly taller than the other, it's because of that half double crochet at the end. So if you put a double crochet at the end instead of a half double crochet, it will even out. But I'm almost to 10 inches, and once I get to 10 inches, I will let you know how many rows you need to work up to reach the 10-inch mark. So I'll see you all here in just a little bit. Okay, everybody, so I worked up enough rows just to show you how many rows you would need for 10 inches. So after 24 rows, I have 10.5 inches. And just in case you need help counting your rows, I would take a look at the side that looks prettier, that shows the nice stars. And then you see here, it's single crochet row, star row, single crochet row, star row, single crochet, star, and single crochet. So that's how you would count all the way up. And I ended on the star row. That way, when you fold and stitch together, your first row is the single crochet row. So first row, single crochet. Last row, 24, is the star stitch row. And I'm going to continue to work this up till I get to 15 inches for a really nice round pumpkin. So I will see you guys soon in just a little bit. So I have 15 inches here, which is exactly 34 rows. I'm now going to take this yarn end and go across. I'm going to add about 2 lengths worth, and then I'm going to cut it. I'm not quite sure exactly how much of a long yarn tail we will need, but I want to make sure I have enough. this loop here, I'm just going to grab this yarn, pull it through this loop, and tighten that off. So this will be our front facing us with the pretty star stitches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it over. This will be the inside, and we're going to stitch our two sides together. So I'm going to fold them in, leave that up there. I'm going to thread my yarn needle, and we are going to sew up our side. So I'm going to go into the first stitch on the opposite side, pull that through, going to go on the opposite side here. I'm going to go in through the chain and then out through the next chain. And this will give us a really nice clean seam. I'm going to do this on the opposite side. I'm going to go into the chain and out through the next. I'm just going to repeat this, going all the way up the sides here. And that gives us a really nice seam. It's not so noticeable. Go ahead and repeat these steps all the way up until the very top, and I will meet you back there. Okay, so I finished sewing mine up, and it has a really nice seam to it. So I need one yarn tail on one end and another yarn tail at the other. So the really long one, I'm just going to weave in and out, and I'm going to bring it up to the top here. I'm just going to get that up to the top. And I'm going to leave this long one alone for now, and I'm going to stitch up. This is going to be my bottom, the one with the shorter tail that we began with the slip knot. So I'm going to rethread this one, and what we are going to do is we are going to weave this in and out every few stitches. So every about 3 or 4, we're just going to go in, and about every 3 or 4 from the inside and then out. about 3 or 4 over and go in. And just do this all around our pumpkin so we can close the bottom. Now we're just going to pull this tight. I'm going to go in and across. And now we will stuff our pumpkin. I'm going to go straight across, in, creating a tighter knot. That should be good. Now I'm just going to stuff my pumpkin. And try to stuff this as well as I can. All right, so I tried to test out and close my pumpkin with this long yarn tail that we use to seam up the side, and it didn't turn out too well. So I removed it from the top. So if you want to close up your top like you did your bottom, I would cut a new piece of yarn and use your yarn needle and thread that through and then close. It pulled this part way too tight because it's attached here. So I would not use that long yarn tail to seam up the top. But I do have an idea, and I'm not sure if you all like this idea, try it out. If not, then use that other option I just told you about on seaming up your top of your pumpkin. But I wanted to give you all a look at this. It does look really, really good so far. So far, so good. And the bottom, with this being that star method on seaming this, it is stabilizing it perfectly, so it's not wanting to fall over or anything. So that's a plus. So, but my idea is, so I have this jute rope here, and I was thinking, I have this really good feeling that it would look good if I joined here at the top and crocheted a few rows around the top here, and then closed it with this, and then put the stem in. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go in right here and get this right here. And I'm going to join right here. And let's see, I was thinking of maybe doing single crochets. So I'm thinking of just going in and doing a single crochet. And then let's see right here. So this is the eye of the star stitch. So go in here. Make a single crochet. And then this eye, let's see, maybe making, let's see, maybe 2. 1, 2. And then going over here, make 1. Go into the eye. And make 2. I have a feeling that this will look really good. Go into that eye. Do 2. Going right here. And do 1. So that 1 for the single crochet row, 2 for that eye of the star, 1 for that single crochet row, I have a feeling this will look good. Okay, that I'm going to put right there. There's that eye. One right here. So I just finished a single crochet here. Next, I will go into the eye of the star and make the 2 single crochets. And I'm making 2 single crochets in the eye with this jute yarn because this jute yarn is so small and the stitches, even though I'm using the same size hook, it's still very small. So if you are using the same yarn for your pumpkin, I would just make 1 in the eye of the star stitch. So this is because this jute rope is smaller than the yarn for the pumpkin, it is going to pull in a bit, which is a good thing. But we are going to go around and we are going to do some decreases, and I'm going to show you how to do that very soon. So no worries, I'm going to show you up close how to do that. So we're going to go into this next row here, the single crochet row, and then here's the star stitch row. And I'm just doing this all the way around. And when I complete this row, I'm going to slip stitch into the first single crochet that I made with this jute rope. So that is what we're going to do. I'm just going to keep going all the way around. Putting 2 in that eye. So go ahead, finish that, and meet me back around. If you do not want to do like a topper with this jute rope, then I would just close your top just like you did the bottom, but don't cinch it completely because we need to keep room for our cinnamon stick. Unless you want to close it all the way up and put like some hot glue or super glue and then just, you know, super glue that on there. That looks good, just like that. So you can also do that as well. Okay, so I'm at the end here. This really long yarn tail, we're going to use this later on for a tassel. So just push that off to the side that way. And then we'll go right into that first single crochet and yarn over and pull that through. Just going to tighten that down. I'm going to chain 1. And what I'm going to do here is I'm probably going to do, let's see, a decrease. Let's see, every 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe every 5. Let's do every 6. So we'll do a decrease every 6th and with the 6th and 7th stitch, and then each row will lessen that. We'll go from like 6 to 5 to 4 to 3. So we're just going to have a few rows of this jute rope just to kind of make kind of like a topper for our pumpkin. So I'm going to go into the same stitch and make a single crochet. I'm going to go into the next stitch and make a single crochet. That's 1, 2. There's a third. There's a 4th. Here's the 5th. And I apologize. I have a cold. So 5th, 6th, and 7th. So what we will do, I'm going to zoom in. So I'm just going to go in to that front loop. I'm going to dip my hook and go into the front loop of that 7th stitch. I'm going to yarn over and pull it through both, and then make my single crochet. Then I'm going to go into that next chain and begin my count again. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. There's a 6th one. Go into the front loop, dip it down, and go into the front loop of that 7th. then yarn over, pull it through both of those loops and make a single crochet. And I'm going to repeat this all the way around, and this will shrink up our top quite a bit. That's 1, that's 2, 3, 4, and 5. So that's what it's looking like so far. So by the time we get, say, 3 more rows, it'll be about here. So it'll be it'll be about, probably about like this wide of a topper, and then we'll pull it in, and then we'll tighten it around our cinnamon stick, or you can just glue it right to the top if you want. Totally up to you. So I think I'm on my 5th one, and it doesn't matter, you know, if you get it right. We're just trying to close this top up. So even if you don't get your stitch count right, that's okay. This part, it doesn't require an exact stitch count. Just trying to do something a little different. I don't know if you've watched a lot of my videos or not, but I definitely like to try to make things that are different from everybody else's. Make it look good, but different. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then the decrease again. There we go. So I have just a little bit more to go, just to give you another look at it. I think it's looking really good so far. And I will meet you back in just a little while. So I've reached the end, and I just wanted to show you all what it looks like so far. I think this is going to look really, really neat. It's definitely going to look kind of like the eclectic minimalist boho feel. I think it's going to look great. So I'm going to slip stitch, join in that first single crochet, and like I said, you know, this doesn't have to be perfect stitch count. We're just trying to go around and do some decreases, build a topper, and shrink this in. So it's definitely doesn't have to be the perfect stitch count. So I'm just going to go back into that same chain and make a single crochet. And now I'm going to count to, so we did 5 single crochets, and on the 6th and 7th, we decreased and joined the 6th and 7th together. So now we're going to do the 5th and 6th together. So we're going to do 4 single crochets and then the decrease. So that's 1, and then 3, 4. So there's our 4 single crochets. So this 5th one, we're going to do the same thing, go into that front loop of the chain and bend our hook down and push that in there until the front loop of that 6th one, and then just pull it through both those loops and make the single crochet. Isn't that looking nice so far? So we're going to go into the next stitch and start our count over. That's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now decrease. And repeat. And that is what it's looking like so far. So go ahead and finish that up. We're just going to keep this string pushed forward. That way, once we get about here and we cinch this up, we can use this to make our beaded tassel. So I'm at the end here. I'm going to keep this yarn tail pushed this way and out of my way. I'm going to slip stitch join, just like we did before. And tighten that down. Chain 1. And now we're going to make 3 single crochets and then our decrease. And do you see the pattern that we have going? So that's what we're going to do. So this row we'll do single crochet, single crochet, single crochet, and then in the 4th and 5th we'll make the decrease, and we will repeat that going all the way around. And this is what our pumpkin top is looking like so far. I think it's looking really, really good. So I'm just going to go into that same chain, make a single crochet. It's 1, that's 2, that's 3, and now I'm on my 4th. So with the 4th and 5th, we're going to make that decrease. And now we will repeat. 1, 2, 3, and repeat. And if you need to add more stuffing to your pumpkin, go ahead and do that as you go along. So I filled mine up, definitely full. I might need to add more. I'm not quite sure. So we might get about here. Might do about 1 or 2 more rows, and then we'll close up our top. But for now, let's finish this row, and I will meet you back at the end. I'm at the end here. So I'm going to do the same thing I did before. I'm going to slip stitch into that first single crochet. Pull that in tight. Chain 1. And now we're going to do 2 single crochets and decrease on the 3rd and 4th. So it's 1, and 2. And then decrease. Yeah, so I might need to add just a little bit more, but our pumpkin topper is turning out to look great. Can't you picture that? Isn't that neat looking? All right, so let's finish this up. So going to the next, trying to keep this with tight tension. That's 1 and 2. And now we'll decrease and make that single crochet 2 together. Go to the next chain. Make that 1 single crochet. There's the next single crochet. And then our decrease. So decreasing every 3rd and 4th chain is really going to shrink this up. It's already pulling in quite a bit. And that is what we want, definitely. So here was our repeat 1 and 2. And now our decrease on that 3rd and 4th chain. I'm just going to keep that yarn tail out of my way. So just go ahead and repeat that. Make sure you don't crochet over this long yarn tail because we're going to use that to make a really neat beaded tassel. It's going to look so good. It really is. Look at this. Oh, it's looking good. Perfect. So yeah, so I will meet you back in just a little bit right here at the end of this row. So now we just need to slip stitch join. And I'm going to fill my pumpkin up a little bit more here in just a little bit. So now we will do chain 1 and same chain, 1 single crochet, and now in the 2nd and 3rd we will make that decrease. Next chain, 1 single crochet. Next 2 chains, we'll make those decreases in. So on the 2nd chain and 3rd, make that decrease. Next chain, 1 single crochet. And if this row is a little tricky for you, then don't worry about doing it. Leave it, and then we'll just cinch it up. So it's totally up to you what you want to do. So let's see, I made that 1 single crochet. So I'm just going to go into that 2nd and 3rd, pull this tight, and make that. Okay, and that's where I join at, right here. One. Oops. And then pull that tight, and then pull that through the stitch. Yarn over and complete. So it does get just a little bit more difficult, and we're doing this last row here, but it'll be fine. You don't have to do it. It's not a big deal. Pull that, tight tension, and then complete. And then I'm almost there. And the last two here. Let's go like this. And then complete. Push this forward. Looking great. Gonna see. I'm gonna slip stitch join. Just gonna pull that tight. Now we have a little hole here. I'm going to stuff my pumpkin just a little bit more. It's looking really good so far. Look at that. It is actually looking like a pumpkin. Look at that. And then we have our cinnamon stick. So if you need to stuff your pumpkin a little bit more, go ahead and do that. If you have another option for a cinnamon stick, go right ahead. That's totally up to you what you want to do. Like you can go to the store and just grab you a real pumpkin stem. I think I got another one here that I picked up, a thinner one. It's a lighter brown. There's so many different types of pumpkin stems. So, you know, that's totally up to you what you want to do. Or you can get on that other boho pumpkin tutorial and let me see, do I have that extra stem laying around over here? Well, I don't see it. But I show how to, oh, here. Like if you want to make a stem like this one to go with this, that would look really good. It's the same type of rope. This pumpkin here that I teach how to make, you can just bunch up the cord and wrap around it and make a stem. So you can watch that video. and make a stem for this instead of using the the cinnamon stick. Totally up to you what you want to do. But I'm going to go ahead and stuff my pumpkin a little bit more, just a little bit, and then I'll be back and we will close this up. And then we will make that really pretty beaded tassel with our wooden beads. So I'm just going to keep this out of the way and keep a hold of that loop that I pulled up. So I'm just going to hold on to both of those. And then stuff my pumpkin a little bit more. That is good. That's beautiful. Perfect. I think that's definitely going to be good enough for our pumpkin. Yeah. I had an idea, guys, that I wanted to show you. So I thought, you know what? I want to make my stem look more realistic, more of like a rustic feel, like real wood or like a real stem. So what I did was I took my razor that I use for my arts and crafts and I scraped it. So I just went, just like if you was to grind up the cinnamon, I just did like this. And plus I like how it lightened it up because the cinnamon stick was just so dark. Look at that. Doesn't that look more realistic? And of course, be careful because you're dealing with the razor. So definitely be careful. Always go away from you. Always do that. But yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. It looks more real. So yeah, so that's an option if you all wanted to do that or not. Let me give you a closer look. Yeah, so that looks more like a real stick or a real stem. So that's what I just chose to do, and I will meet you all back in just a moment. Okay, guys, so I'm gonna just push this out of the way and already have this loop here. I'm going to, let's see, let's go about just that far just for now, and then I'm gonna clip it. And this is so thin that I'll be able to fit this through my yarn needle. Also, this jute rope right here, if you're interested in finding this, I picked this up at Dollar Tree. It came in a 3-pack for $1, which is $1.25 now, but it's still a good deal when you get 3 rolls of this jute rope. So I just figured I'd let you all know. And of course the yarn, I got this from Hobby Lobby. So I'm just going to put this through that loop, and that's going to help to bind that off. And then I'm just gonna pull. Hopefully I can get that. Okay, that's a good knot. And then what we are going to do, I'm not going to go over this. I want to keep this sticking out even after I close this up. So I'm going to go into each chain. There's only about 20 of them, which is fairly good. Or you can go to every other one, but we're just going to go in the front loops. We're going to go into the front loops. Just need to pull this out. I'm going to readjust this. There we go. So we can go through every one if we want, every other one. I'm just going to go from the bottom through that front loop and out the top. We're just going to cinch this closed. And it's up to you if you want to glue your cinnamon stick or your pumpkin stem. Hot glue with a glue gun works great. Super glue, if you use glue, use the fast drying super glue. Like the glue I have that I've used before my tutorials, that I think it's E6000, that takes a while to dry. So you would want to use a super fast drying super glue, or that hot glue I was talking about. So yeah, I'm just going to go into each front loop, cinch it. This is looking so good. And I hope you all are having fun too. I know I am. I love doing arts and crafts. Ever since I was a little girl, my mom and my granny, we would do arts and crafts with a glue gun. And my granny, she would get these little, pretty little fake rosebuds. We did so many different arts and crafts when I was little. I loved it. I've loved it ever since. Really, really have fun doing this stuff. And so far, I got enough room for my cinnamon stick. I'm going to stick my cinnamon stick in there. I'm going to keep going around those front loops there. Which they're not hard to find. They're just right there up front. Fantastic. It's looking so good. I think that was my knot. But I'm going to go ahead and go through that knot. Cinch that up as well. But yeah, if you want to be able to pick this up with the stem, definitely hot glue that in. But if you're just, not worried about it, then don't worry about it. Just leave it just like that. So now I'm just going to go through. I'm just going to go through those cinches. When we cinch this up, I'm just going to go through that. And this rope is really sturdy, so it's going to keep this. It's going to keep it nice and snug. Just move that out of the way. And then we'll do our beaded tassel. Lots of fun. Look at that. Look at that pumpkin. Oh, wow. That looks nice. That looks craft fair worthy right there. All right, let's go ahead. You could always use this for your tassel, this strand right here. But I'm gonna go with my yarn because my tassel is gonna be made out of this yarn. I want it to all blend together good. So I'm just gonna go ahead and clip that down. All right, guys, so now it's time to make our beaded tassel. So the first idea I had, it didn't work out. So now I have a second alternative to make this happen for us all. So I'm going to take the bottom yarn tail here, and I am going to thread my yarn needle. And I'm going to take this and I am going to stick it right through the center here. And I am going to squash the pumpkin. And I'm going to go through the stuffing, and I want to try to go alongside the stem here. I think I need a longer yarn needle. Not quite sure actually. Oh, that's pretty close. Pretty close. If you have a longer, excuse me, if you have a longer yarn needle, then that'll work better. But this is fine. This works. So as long as we don't pull this too tight, our pumpkin will stay in a perfect shape. So, and mine's sticking out right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go back through that and out there. That way it's sticking out. The top, just like this one. Good. Okay. There we go. So now what we need to do is, so we're going to have our 2 strands. We're going to, actually, we're going to put our beads through both these strands. I really thought my other idea was going to work, but this will do much better. This is, I've done this way before. So I threaded 1. I'm going to go ahead and put my bead through that. I'm going to go through the next bead. Leave that there. I'm going to thread the next yarn tail. I'm going to go through the top bead and that bottom bead. Take that off. And these beads, you know, totally optional. You can do a lot of different things with your pumpkin. And for instance, like I went to the woods and I found real acorns. You can hot glue real acorns like these leaves here. I got these from Dollar Tree, and they're not wire. You can cut them and hot glue these on to your pumpkin with some real acorns. Like, there's so many neat things you could do with your pumpkins with just a little super glue or hot glue. You can do a lot, and it'll look great. So our next step is, I'm just going to push this off to the side. We're going to make our tassel. So we're going to take our yarn and just lay it like this. And now we're going to take this end and we're going to wrap it. We're going to wrap it around 8 times. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. I'm going to clip about right here. Maybe a little bit lower. I'll clip that when I'm ready. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take, and get you a better look. We're going to want to, get these strands through the middle here. We'll go this way. The other yarn tail. Grab the end of it. And it's also going to go through that loop. We're going to pull these. And now we're going to make a tie. So hopefully you can see. I just want to be able to tie these, and then I'll readjust them. I just want to tie that. I want to make another tie. And this really isn't as tricky as it looks. It might look a little tricky, but it's not. It's fine. And there we go. We have our knot. We're going to take our tassel. We're just going to pull it down. And then we're going to get another strand of yarn. We're just going to make a tie right there. And then we'll cut these strands. So it's not going to be that tricky, I promise. So now we just need just enough yarn. So when we make that tie, we want it to be able to hang down and be about the length of our tassel. So just a good amount. And I would just use your judgment on that. And I want my tie to be in the back. So I'm going to flip this around. Take about the middle of our tie here. And we're just going to make a tie. right there. That's good. Right there is just fine. Or you can go down lower if you want. Tie that up. Now, we're going to cut these strands. These really long ones, I'm just going to cut that like that for now. So now we just find that loop we created. There we go. So we got that loop. Just going straight across and cut. Now we need to fold our tassel, twist it back, and look at that. The tie's in the back. The tie won't even be seen because we flipped it around. So now, just kind of straighten these out nicely. We're going to want them to all be the same length when they lay. There we go. There's our beautiful beaded tassel pumpkin. Isn't that cute? It's done. We did it. I'm going to give you all a better look. Get this out of the way. I'm going to pull this up a bit. Look at that. Isn't that cute? There's our pretty pumpkin. I'm really glad you all joined me to make this pumpkin. I hope you all really liked the video. I know it's pretty long, but it's definitely worth it. It's definitely worth this pumpkin for sure. So don't forget to comment below and hit the like button and subscribe. And I will see you all soon with some more fall tutorials. Thank you all. Bye-bye.